What's up, runners? Perfect running form to stay injury free. So, running is often celebrated for its simplicity, right? You just pick a pair of shoes and go out for a run. But, and you think, hey, it doesn't require any special equipment or techniques, or so it seems. But as straightforward as it seems, running can come with challenges, particularly if your form isn't serving your body and can lead to potential injuries. So, perfect form isn't just about looking like a textbook illustration. For example, there's some elite runners who've shattered records. Take marathon legend Paula Radcliffe, whose distinctive running style included bobbing her head with an unconventional gait. She didn't change her for style points, nor does she need to. That's because perfect form isn't universal, it's personal. That said, certain principles of good form can keep you efficient and, most importantly, injury free. So, this video, we're going to go over what, from head to toe, actionable tips to make running feel smoother, safer, and faster. So, some general guidelines, 4 pillars to good running form. You want to be relaxed and firm. Just think about too much tension wastes energy. You don't want to be super tense, shoulders shrugging. You want to keep your movements natural and relaxed while staying upright, as to keep your strength. You move efficiently. You don't want to waste your energy, making big wild movement with your arms, going swinging side to side because you will waste energy. You want to lean slightly forward, engage your core and your glutes, and maintain a gentle lean from your ankles. You want to land lightly underneath the center of gravity, so you want to overstride. Focus on a controlled landing just beneath you. Now let's break down running form from head to toe. So from head to neck, your posture starts at your head. Think of a string pulling off the top of your head. Ideally, you want your head to look looking like your eyes looking straight ahead. Keep your chin slightly tucked, and don't look down at the ground. Don't look unless you're like, I guess, in New York City trying to avoid dog poop. Make sure your eyes are looking straight ahead. But remember to maintain a slight forward lean at your ankles as well, because where your head goes, the rest of your body goes. So if your head is going like really far forward, leaning forward, it's going to kind of start to round your back and stuff. So if you keep like a good neutral spine, think again like that string pulling the top of your head, it tends to also promote good posture. Shoulders, you don't want the shoulders to be shrugging. You want to be relaxed, especially as fatigue sets in. It's not like naturally, some people will shrug their shoulders, but really try to keep them down and relaxed and facing forwards. You don't want to round your shoulders. You don't want that caveman posture, because that may restrict breathing. So you want to open up your chest wall. Relaxed shoulders will help that. If you need to shake out your arms every so often to release tension, and again, if you catch yourself shrugging, kind of roll them back, relax your shoulders. Arms are also very important, especially in your keeping you balanced and also your rhythm and even your speed. If you notice when you're going faster, especially if you're doing sprints, if you think of a sprinter, they actually bring their hand from their waist to their face, so from their pocket of their waist to their face. While a marathon runner may have smaller arm movements, but the faster you go, like you're doing sprints, those arm movements become bigger. But there's still, you don't want the arms to cross over midline. You want the arms going to be, in line with the shoulders pretty much. Keep the elbows bent at 90 degrees. Swing from the shoulders, not the elbows, and swing forward and back, and avoid, big wide movements like chicken winging the arms. Again, you don't want to cross over. So you can think of like the hitchhiker's thumb to keep your arms kind of neutral as you're swinging your arms forward and back to reduce tension in your arms. So your hands, so your fists should not be like white knuckle grip. They shouldn't feel like rocks. That's wasted energy. Instead, imagine holding potato chips. Think about Lay's chips between your thumb and forefinger, holding those potato chips. Finish the line without breaking the chips. So when you're doing a run, whether it's a training run or a race, you want to go through the run and you didn't break the potato chips. If you need be, actually grab some potato chips and go for a run. Don't try to eat the potato chips unless it's like a long run and you need to fuel up. But this is a good cue to keep relaxed hands, but not too relaxed because you want to drop the potato chip. But you also don't want to be too firm and break the chips. Core, so you're essentially core. I'm thinking about your torso, your trunk, so your back. So your core, your low back is part of your stabilizing anchor. A weak or too relaxed low back leads to instability. Think like you're flailing around, like those inflatable dolls you see outside of certain stores and things. So on the flip side, you want to, if your overly tense abs will make you too stiff and drain your energy if like you're overly braced. So aim for a bounce. It's like a bounce between too rigid and too soft. So you want to be engaged. Think about maybe like 30% activation, not 100% activation, like you're bracing for a punch in your abs. You're just running here, unless you're running and fighting at the same time. But that's a different sport. We're doing straightaway running. So you want to be engaged core, but not too rigid. So think about maybe 30 or 40% core engagement, not 100% engagement. You still want to keep an upright torso or back, good posture, and make sure your pelvis is level. We're talking about hips and pelvis next. So tight hips can be a runner's worst enemy, creating extra strain on your low back, hamstrings, and glutes. Adequate hip mobility ensures proper rotation, which is crucial for efficient propulsion. Because as you're running, you go through different phases. So the loading phase, the stance phase of running, and the swing phase, as one leg is swinging in the air. So if you have good hip mobility, that means the hips could also rotate properly forward and back, and there's some slight to side. It's to help you efficiently, move forward with running. But if you've had reoccurring injuries, especially like chronic injuries to your lower body, maybe hips, knees, because the hip could actually cause issues down the knees as well, and even the ankle, and you may want to go to a professional, like a physical therapist who specializes with runners, to look for hip restrictions. Avoid an exaggerated forward tilt of your pelvis caused by tight hip flexors. So a lot of runners tend to have too much anterior pelvic tilt. Their hip tilts too much far forward from too tight hip flexors. So make sure to stretch out the hip flexors, dynamic stretching before the run, more passive static stretching after the run. Exercises like the couch stretch really helps stretch out the hip flexor, foam rolling. And proper hip movement is just not about looking good; it's about power. So every stride, your glutes should be able to load. Think about pulling back like a slingshot because it has good hip extension to release you forward with force. Feet. So contrary to popular belief, there's no universal correct foot strike. There's actually successful elite runners who do some heel strike, some who do midfoot, and some who do forefoot. So all three foot strikes can be okay for runners. You don't have to obsess over having to have a midfoot strike or foot strike. So whether you're a heel striker or a midfoot striker, the focus shouldn't be on just changing the foot strike pattern. Instead, it should be about foot placement, where you're landing the foot. Like as a foot, are you overstriding? Are you putting your foot strike too far in front of your body? Instead, you want to land under your center of gravity to avoid overstriding, a common culprit of injury. And yes, when you land close to your center of gravity, you might change. You might go from a rear foot to midfoot or forefoot, but don't obsess about whether it's forefoot or midfoot or rear foot. Think about just minimizing or avoiding overstriding. The thing you want to do is increase your cadence steps per minute to roughly to 160 to 180 steps per minute. So I know you probably heard the 180 rule, but it doesn't have to be a hard rule. It doesn't have to be 180. It could be 170. It'd be 160. Now you don't want to be too slow because if it's like 150, you may be overstriding. So 160 is like, I'll say the lower end, 160 to 180 steps per minute. And you can experiment with playlists and songs at various beats per minute to train yourself towards an optimal cadence. So, for example, if you're at 150 steps per minute now, don't jump to 180 right away just because you're like, oh, the elites run at 180. Go from like 150 to 155, spend a week or two, and then slowly, gradually increase the cadence until you go into like 150, 155, 160, so forth, and see what feels comfortable for you. You might find that you feel comfortable at 170. You don't even have to get to 180. It just really depends on your body type, and as you gradually experiment, you'll see what works for you. Some drills for form perfection. So running drills are often an overlooked tool, but they can really help improve your efficiency, power, and resilience. These exercises train your body to run better without requiring months of building baseline fitness. Think about like high knees. So high knees, you can start running in place. So running in place with high knees actually helps improve this goal movement pattern, where it's like a cyclical movement of the legs, where you're landing underneath the center of gravity. And as you get good with running in place, then you can start slowly jogging forward with high knees and then running forward with high knees. Focus on light forefoot landing, driving knees up towards your chest. Another one is butt kicks. You want to bring the heels towards your butt, not in the old school way where the leg will swing all the way back and you're kind of slapping the back of your butt with your heel. No, you actually want the heel to pick up underneath you. And I know it's a little tricky. Well, here I'm describing a YouTube video, but you can look about like the old school versus the new school way of doing butt kicks. You want to do the new school way, where your upper thigh kind of comes up, almost like the high knee, except now your foot is going underneath to your buttocks. The next is strides. So short controlled sprints to help you with good form and movement. So you could just do short bouts of sprints. So they call them like strides, maybe 10 to 15 second strides towards either do as a part of a warm up or during the middle of your run or towards the end of your run. Some short strides, maybe do 5 or 8 strides or so. You're essentially sprinting. You're not going 100% full out, maybe doing like a 70% effort sprint, call them strides. The next thing you want to do is A skips or B skips. So there are drills. You got to look up what A skips and B skips are, but essentially they emphasize proper knee drive and coordination. So the A skip kind of looks like a shape of letter A. You can start A skipping in place, slowly A skipping forward, and then go into like a jog or a run with the A skip and B skip. There's also the karaoke grapevine. This incorporates the lateral crossover effect of the leg as you're going sideways, going left to right and right to left to strengthen hip abductors and abductors and the adductors, abductors and adductors. So use these drills. You can use them as part of your warm up every time you go for run. So if you like to run 4 to 5 times a week, I recommend doing a couple of these drills as part of your dynamic warm up for every time you go for a run. Now, if you're super busy and you don't have time to do these kind of elaborate warm ups, at least 2 or 3 times a week, you practice the drills on their own. Over time, you'll become more efficient, faster, and injury resistant. So you've practiced these form cues, and if it's overwhelming, just stick with one form cue at a time until you master, you perfect it. Like, hey, work on your head and neck position, maybe then work on your shoulders, and then work on your arms. And over time, these different parts add up to good, proper running form, which you'll be amazed at how much of an improvement you'll feel in terms of your breathing. You'll be able to breathe easier. You'll be able to last a bit longer here. And you'll be so amazed at the results of proper running form can do for you. So use this as a checklist. And remember, patience, persistence are the key to building form you can rely on for years. If you need help to unlocking your full running potential, you want to really optimize your running form to prevent injuries. Maybe you want like a running form or gait analysis. Click the link in my YouTube show notes here to book a call for me. We could talk about like a running strategy call. We could talk about a running form and things that could optimize your running.